Hey everyone, welcome to the reading of all the updates from Chapter 5 to Dee's Journal in Bravely Default. Starting with updates to Ring a Bell. They came back from the side of the chasm, and it is apparently still there. A part of me was not surprised to discover that the face of the Dark Knight we unmasked at the Holy Pillar mirrored my own, but my memory remains foggy. I agreed to follow Tiz, though I still cannot give Agnes a clear answer to her questions. The Second World. The Second Holy Pillar. Tiz asked me to make a note of the events here. As expected, the Dark Knight Altinus Dim attacked, and was foiled. When I saw that familiar face again, something fell into place. I fainted, and awoke surrounded by light. An update to Tiz. We visited the sage after the Vestal Guard became threadbare. He asked Agnes to take one that she trusted to meet him, then abruptly left. She chose Tiz, and together they went to see the sage. Apparently, 1800 years ago, the sage and Lord DeRosa encountered an angel, who spoke of a number of omens regarding the crystals. Update to Agnes. Choosing Tiz to accompany her, Agnes headed to meet the sage. He spoke of an endless struggle with Lord DeRosa, and of meeting the angel that foretold the coming of doom. They returned to us bewildered and more than a little incredulous at what they had been told, such as how the angel had looked just like Agnes. Updates to Edea. Despite Edea betraying both family and homeland to awaken the crystals, the great chasm still loomed before us. What's more, Edea was still with us, though in this world, Ominous Crow had only just finished setting the town alight. She was left stunned. Tiz said all we could do was start again, and the rest of us agreed. We heard the tale of the one true love of the Templar and the Swordmaster from a man in Eternia. It seems when they were young, they dueled for 3 days and nights over the right to proposition Edea's mother. Hearing this, a look of dawning realization came over Edea's face. As we faced Brave the Templar in the Second World, he spoke of the reasons for his uprising 15 years earlier. He claimed he was forced to act when the Orthodoxy turned its back on the people, and attempted a foolish undertaking called the Grand Ritual that would endanger the crystals. He said a vessel awakening the crystals put them at similar risk. Updates to Eri. Though we had entered the Holy Pillar and performed Eri's rite, when we awoke, the Great Chasm was still there. What is more, the seas once again festered, and the light had gone from Eri's brooch. Eri says she remembers nothing since she began meditating at the Holy Pillar. We visited the sage to ask him to repair the tattered Vestal garb. He told Agnes to choose the one she trusted most, and she took Tiz with her to the cave to meet him. Eri, who has so far devoted herself to Agnes thoroughly as a Christ fairy, was so shocked at not being chosen as to lose her appetite. An update to Owen. We entered the Holy Pillar. Eri went into a trance. After fending off an attack by the Dark Knight Altinus Dim, we were surrounded by bright light. We woke to find ourselves back in the inn at Kaldisla, at the time before we had to set off to take on the Black Mage Ominous Crow. Captain Owen was still alive. An update to Carl the Innkeep. Upon entering the Holy Pillar, we were beset by the Dark Knight Altinus Dim. We defeated him, and were then enveloped in a bright light. We woke at the inn in Kaldisla, before our journey to take down the Black Mage Ominous Crow. We told the innkeeper we'd go and defeat the scoundrel who had set the town alight, and he showed us his stalwart support. An update to Barris. After entering the Holy Pillar and being swallowed by the light, we found ourselves back in Kaldisla, at the lake to the southwest. We came upon the monk Barris in the company of the White Mage Holly. As I had heard, he was a loud brute of a man. It seemed they had just been in battle with someone, but they set upon us before we can ask. We were forced to vanquish them. Update to Holly. We entered the Holy Pillar and were sucked into a vortex of light. We woke in Kaldisla, and after heading to the lake in the southwest, we encountered the White Mage Holly with the monk Barris. She was as sadistic and provocative as I had been told. It seems they had fought someone else before us, but they engaged us in battle before we could ask who. An update to Ominous. After entering the Holy Pillar and finding ourselves back in Kaldisla, we tracked the Black Mage Ominous Crow to the ruins of Central Keep once more. He seemed terrified to see us, and in the midst of battle asked us why we despised him so much. It left us very confused. An update to Henkel. After entering the Holy Pillar and awakening Kaldisla, we journeyed to Lontano Villa. On its uppermost floor, we encountered the knight Henkel, who rebuked Edea for betraying the duchy despite being daughter to the Grand Marshal. He then attacked, saying she would have to learn the resolve of a knight the hard way. Though daunted, we won the battle and set off again. Updates to Sage Juliana. Agnes's Vestal garb had become threadbare after awakening the second crystal in this world, so we visited the sage to ask him to repair it. He asked Agnes to choose the one she trusted most, and take them to the nearby cave. He then left her to make her decision. Agnes ultimately chose Tiz, and together they headed to the cave where the sage awaited them. There, they were apparently told about the events that took place between the sage and Lord DeRosso 1800 years earlier, and how an angel with a face just like Agnes descended and shared prophecies with them. An update to Olivia. After entering the Holy Pillar and being enveloped in light, we awoke in another world and went to see the matriarch. She told us that the water vessel, Olivia, had perished protecting her followers in an earthquake that had struck the hidden village half a year earlier. An update to Altinus. When Aerie began to meditate at the Holy Pillar in the second world, the Dark Knight attacked again. He asked Aerie's whereabouts, intending to slay her. He said that would bring an end to it all, then launched his attack. We defeated him once more, and as I saw his face, I felt part of my memory return. An update to Jackal. After we entered the Holy Pillar and awoke in another world, we found the ever-thirsty Jackal deep within the Harina ruins. He had talked of his parents abandoning him and the treatment he faced at the hands of seemingly respectable people who took him in. In the end, it was Master Thief that gave him a place to belong. He then attacked and died a miserable, lonely death. An update to Profiteer. After entering the Holy Pillar and awaking in another world, we showed Profiteer the evidence we had gathered about his misdeeds. He flew into a rage and said he would kill us on the spot. His usual demeanor of false courtesy was nowhere to be seen, and he came at us without hesitating to flaunt his wealth and power. He was obsessed with money to the end. An update to Kint. Sneaking into the palace in the dead of night, we found the King of Ansheim and Spellfencer Kint talking. The king spoke in jovial tones, while Sigma remained stoic as ever. When they saw Agnes, they abandoned their guises and went on the attack. We bested them in the end, and before slipping away, Sigma said the money had been worth it. An update to Kamer. Sneaking into the palace in the dead of night, we found the King of Ansheim talking to an unfamiliar soldier. It seems the Agnes of this world did not return from Galdesla, and the king wore a smirk. He was visibly flustered to see us, and confronted us in his time mage guise together with the spellfencer Sigma Kint. We defeated them both after a struggle. An update to Victoria. After entering the Holy Pillar and finding ourselves in another world, we headed to Eternian Central Command and encountered Victor and Victoria lying in wait for us. As before, Victoria's seizure forced them to fall back so she could be treated at the White Magic Circulation Hub. This time, several new facts emerged when we were told of Victoria's upbringing. It seems she was taken in and raised by the Crystal Orthodoxy, who then cast her out when she was diagnosed with an incurable illness. We also learned that Victor's father had played a part in her treatment. After a long battle, we were finally able to defeat them both. Updates to Victor. After entering the Holy Pillar and waking in another world, we were ambushed by Victoria on the way to Eternian Central Command. Just as before, she had a seizure and withdrew to the White Magic Circulation Hub for treatment, where Victor spoke of the past to buy time. This time, Victor shared some new information about Victoria's past. It seems she was taken in and raised by the Crystal Orthodoxy, who cast her out when she developed an incurable illness. We also found out that Victor's father had played a part in her treatment. A battle ensued soon after, and we were finally able to defeat them both. An update to Artemia. In the world beyond the Holy Pillar, Artemia once again hunted Woodland Orochi in the twisted treetops of the woods to the east. It was impossible to talk sense into her, so we were forced to defeat her in combat. An update to Mephilia. In the world beyond the Holy Pillar, we encountered Mephilia deep within the gardens to the west of Florum. Again, she seemed to recognize Adia, but they did not see eye to eye. We defeated her, but before relinquishing life, she revealed she knew we were not of this world. An update to Anhyria. In the world beyond the Holy Pillar, we headed through the Witherwood to the hidden village to the north, and found Anhyria lying in wait for us. She had grown tired of the methods of the Duchy and the Bloodroads Legion. Though Adia tried to persuade her to join us, she would not listen, and in the course of a heated battle, we were forced to defeat her. An update to Fiore de Rosa. After confronting the Red Mage de Rosa with the information we gathered in a previous world, he looked shocked, but admitted his evil deeds. In an attempt to sway Adia, he claimed his schemes were all sanctioned by the Templar, but after defeating him, we found notes in his writing that showed this was a complete fabrication. An update to Kami Izumi. In Eternia, we met a man who spoke with the Templar and Swordmaster in their younger days. He said they were close friends who both aimed to master the way of the sword. However, they had a falling out one day, leading to a duel that lasted 3 days and 3 nights. In the end, it took 20 Orthodoxy guards to restrain them. Their duel was over a girl called Mazer, Adia's mother. The Swordmaster won, and went to her village to confess his love. He was spurned, and Mazer was betrothed to the Templar. The Swordmaster set off on a journey, and the Great Plague hit the next year. Fighting to aid the people, the Templar left the Orthodoxy, and later started the uprising with the Swordmaster. An update to Kata. In the world beyond the Holy Pillar, we found the Salvemaker Kata and a subordinate speaking in the Swordbearer's lair of Starkfort. In this world, Kata seems to be treating wounded Shieldbearer soldiers as well as his Swordbearer allies. We thought he may have turned over a new leaf, but he only wanted to use them in his experiments. We took him on and defeated him. An update to Commander Goodman. Commander Goodman graciously granted us an audience with him. In every world, he seemed the epitome of humbleness and good manners, nothing like a typical military commander. He was happy to let us stay in Hearthchild. An update to Eleanor. After receiving permission from Commander Goodman to stay in Hearthchild, we went to meet Eleanor, who was holding down the fort at her residence. Her smile was as lovely as ever, and I couldn't help but take comfort at the sight of her kindly face. You have some explaining to do, from Adia. Updates to Brave the Templar. In the second world, the Templar told us the truth behind the attack on the Orthodoxy 15 years earlier. The Orthodoxy's grand ritual destabilized the Earth Crystal, and the energy gushing forth was drawn out via white magic cables and converted into healing waves to treat the sick. The Templar had taken the crystal to protect it, and not to exploit its power. In Eternia, we heard rumors about the one true love of the Templar and Swordmaster. It seems in their youth, they were close friends studying the way of the sword, but they had a falling out. The Templar became a cleric of the Orthodoxy, while the Swordmaster instructed at the training hall. Then, the year before the Great Plague, they suddenly met to engage in a duel. Their duel apparently lasted 3 days and nights. The Swordmaster won, and likely visited Adia's mother's village to confess his love, but was spurned. Upon returning, he set off on a journey. The Templar went on to marry Adia's mother in the year before the Great Plague hit. It seems the Swordmaster also took part in the Templars' uprising. An update to Mazir Lee. In the city of Eternia, we heard rumors about the history between the Swordmaster and the Templar. It seems they were close friends, dedicated to the way of the sword. However, a wedge was driven between them when the Swordmaster set eyes upon the Templar's childhood friend Mazir at the village where they grew up. This led to them dueling the year before the Great Plague. After battling for 3 days and nights, the Swordmaster won the duel by a narrow margin. He went to the village to confess his love, but was spurned. He set off on a journey after his return, and it was the Templar who married Mazir. The rumors of this love triangle made it sound like a bad romance story, but Adia looked like it had given her a lot to think about. Updates to Vincent S. Court. In the second world, Victor mentioned Vincent while treating the Arcanist Victoria after she had a seizure in the middle of battle. He was Victor's father, who conducted research into enhancing the effects of white magic. He apparently played a part in the treatment of Victoria, who suffered from an incurable illness from a young age. Some new entries in the Red reports. Red Revelations 1. We're finally reaping the returns from our raid on the Orthodoxy treasury 15 years ago. Profiteers' holdings far exceed Ansheim's coffers, and Kata saw to it that the Spirit Hairpins, Petalhue, and now Michaelone's hypnotic properties have driven this land's people to madness. Red Revelations 2. That fool Hankel was dead set against my plan. The Grand Marshal would have been too, had he any clue we were using drugs to turn Florum from crystalism. But Kata's mixtures grow more potent, and Profiteer's economic tentacles are spreading through the duchy. It's almost time to be rid of those stubborn old men once and for all. And we also have an update to the Captain's log. Day 1 of the search. My beloved Mephilia, I found it! A clue to the whereabouts of the one you seek. A crescent moon upon the frozen sea. I know not what it means, but I'll come home to you with Susanoo in tow. I swear it. Surely then your sister will give us her blessing. Updates to the crystals. Crystals, Entry 4. The crystals existed long before the birth of Crystal Adventism, the Old Faith, and the Crystal Orthodoxy. Even before recorded history, humankind has been warned that unleashing the power of the crystals without due care can destroy the boundaries that protect this world, opening the door to the harrowing. But ever have the power-hungry distorted such admonishments in their selfish quest. Crystals, Entry 5. The Crystal Orthodoxy cannot train Vestals to work with the crystals. It merely bestows the title of Vestal upon pure-hearted maidens who have this gift. In fact, it was once thought that humankind must not interfere with the crystals in any way.